Johnny Mathis is a legend in the music industry, celebrating 66 years as the voice of romance. And next Saturday, August 20th, he will be appearing at the NYCB Theatre in Westbury. We kicked off the interview by asking Johnny who his biggest influence was growing up.
My dad had 7 children, he and my mom, and one day he came home late, and we heard this noise because we were in bed, and it was my dad trying to get this piano in the front door. And eventually, of course, he did and started to play it. And we never knew he could play, first of all. And then, of course, we'd never had a piano before, and it was the beginning of my singing career. Yeah.
66 years now recording. Congratulations.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you.
You're on your first tour since COVID, I believe, right? It's the Voice of Romance tour.
Yeah, the thing about, performing is you have to make sure that the people who are coming to see you are going to be comfortable. And on many occasions, because of circumstances, I've had to make sure that there was nothing keeping the people away from the concerts, and so it's always nice to know that things are okay.
How difficult was it to get back into the routine now, doing the staging a tour again, since we were off for a while because of the pandemic? Was it 1, 2, 3 pickup, or?
The thing about my situation, as opposed to maybe somebody else's, is from the time I was a little kid, I've always been involved with athletics. And from the time I was, of age, I've been going to the gym and doing my exercise routine. And then later on in life, I moved to Southern California, and I always thought, because I used to admire these people who went on stage, and you'd see them and how good they looked, and they were all in shape and what have you, and that it sort of got me into a situation where I knew that people would listen to me a little bit more intently, I think, if I looked like what I was singing. And exactly. That meant that I was going to have to be in shape, more or less. And that always stuck to me in my mind. And I had friends that I grew up with that I admired, some of the greatest singers in the world, Nat Cole, Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, Lena Horne, all these people. Yeah, my dad used to take me to see them in San Francisco and different places. And I always admired them from the way they looked on the stage. And I always thought, yeah, I better shape up.
Now, I know that from previous concerts I saw on TV, and that you're a pretty good cook. So, and you eat healthy. And I know that you say you love tomatoes.
Yeah, my mom and my dad were, that's the way they made their living, cooking for people. So I learned to cook at an early age. And when I started to travel, the food that was given to me sometimes was very low quality. And so on many occasions, I just wouldn't eat. And I had to figure out a way to do it. And for years, I used to carry my own kitchen around with me on airplanes and buses and things like that. I would have it fixed into a box that looked like, luggage. And it was a little, small, miniature kitchen. And I used to set it up in my rooms in the hotels, make sure that the maid wouldn't see me. And I'd cook my own food, yeah.
Wow. I try to eat healthy. It's not easy, but I do, I'll go for that Haagen-Dazs ice cream pop once in a while, That's about it. Oh, how my husband says it, a lollipop. I said that sounds less fattening, so that's how we do it. But do you still do that? Do you still bring that little box with you to the
I
concert?
don't, because people are so, they. Oh, I guess I can't think of what I'm trying to say. But as things get going and going and going, people realize things like this, that you need this, you need this, you need this, and they help you, and they prepare all sorts of situations for you, and I don't have to do that anymore. All the people that I work with and work for are very cognizant of the fact that you're going to have to eat and sleep and perform. And they help you in all these regards nowadays, so you don't really have to worry about that anymore.
The Chic album, I Love My Lady, it didn't see the light of day until just a few years ago. It was finally put out as an LP, a standalone LP. Reason why Columbia did not want to put it out originally in 1981?
It wasn't really a melodic thing. It's just, don't, I love lady, lady. Yeah, sort of that thing, yeah.
It was a good LP, and I'm glad that they released it finally. It saw the light of day. When I see you in concert, are you still going to do some stuff on the Philly sound? I know you had some early 70s music from the Philly sound with Linda Creed. Like, I know you do a copy of I'm Stone in Love with You in concert. Is that still part of the repertoire?
You know what I do is I'm like, I don't know, so many other people, I guess. I say, you know what, I'm sick and tired of singing that. I'm tired of singing that. I think I'll sing this. And that's just about the way it goes. It's just a matter of probably a little bit about physically the way I feel, if I'm, energetic or something, or if I'm a little bit under the weather as far as my, physical activities are concerned. A lot of it has to do with the physicality of the songs that I'm going to have to sing. And sometimes it also involves where I'm going to sing and what the pleasant surroundings are. That has a lot to do with my choice of songs. But fortunately, people come to hear my voice, and they're content to hear almost anything that I sing. So it's all up to me, more or less. Once in a while, after the performance or something, we have what they call a meet and greet, and people will come back and tell me what they thought about the show, and many times they give me suggestions about songs to sing, and most of them are pretty good, yeah.
You have a little bit of firsts in your career. I was just remembering on an LP that you did once in a while back in the late 80s, you had a song on there called Fallen. And just a few years later, that song was featured by a different singer in the hit movie Pretty Woman. And then,
what was the song?
Fallen.
Oh, Fallen. Oh,
yes.
Okay.
And
I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
Well, and in the movie, when they go on an airplane to San Francisco to see an opera show in the movie Pretty Woman, someone's singing that song. I was amazed that you did it first back in 1988.
Well, that's, part of singing any popular songs. It's going to be, sometimes in movies, sometimes it's going to be on the radio or on television. And it's all kind of interesting as to how some of this stuff, because usually what I do is I wait until my record company tells me what they think they can sell as far as my singing is concerned. And a lot of times they give me advice that, why don't you try singing these songs and this song and that song? And I used to get that, but nowadays, they sort of leave me alone, and I do whatever.
Like you did on the last LP you did with the Happy by Pharrell Williams, produced by Babyface and Clive Davis. Your last LP, where Johnny Mathis sings the great New American Songbook. Congratulations, that was a great album. Very good reviews on it. Very good reviews.
What were the songs on there? I can't remember.
You had Happy by Pharrell Williams. You also had Hallelujah, which I loved, by Leonard Cohen. And you had You Raise Me Up.
Oh, yeah. Those were different songs for me,
Yeah, but it was very good reviews. I loved it. It was a great LP. Great choice. Congratulations. And your sixth Christmas album several years ago was Grammy nominated as well. So, you transcend all these different decades and all different genres and different age groups. What's the secret?
The secret is don't ruin your voice that God gave you. Then don't do all those crazy things that all your girlfriends and boyfriends do. All sorts of stuff. But you know what? Most of the people who sing and make their living singing have had the luxury of advice from people who taught them how to sing. And they said, and the first thing they do is say, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And you say, well, what can I do?
It sounds like more like a don't and not a do.
Yeah, right. And you get enough of that, and you walk the line over the years to save the thing that is what you do, and that is to save your voice. Don't do this, don't do that. Well, what can I do? Nothing, just shut up and sing.
That's the secret. I think all these singers should follow that advice.
They do. We have so much fun because I used to record with all my girlfriends all the time at one point in my life, and we used to laugh and talk about all these people who don't do that. Why can't I do that? Because you're singing and you ruin your voice. Shut up. But shut up.
Now, do you still do vocal exercises, routinely or all the time? I mean, when you're at home, do you sing like in the shower?
I'll tell you what you do. From the time you get up in the morning till the time you go back at night, it's the first thing you think about. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do this. Well, what can I do? Nothing. Just shut up. And that's sort of what you do during the day. If you're a singer, you just shut up. And you only talk a little bit, not too much. And you certainly don't yell and scream. And if you really are, concerned about how you look on stage, you do your exercise routines. And from the time I was a little kid, my dad was my best pal. He and my mom had 7 kids. And my dad was all over me as far as what I did during the day in order to not harm my vocal cords. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that was some great advice that they
Absolutely.
gave you. And
he was my best pal. I loved him so much.
I saw you speak about your dad more on an interview on CBS television a couple of years back on the morning show, on the Sunday morning show. And
my dad was not only my father, but he was my best pal. He's like another, the guy that you play golf with or something. Mm-hmm. He's just there all the time. And he wasn't fatherly at all in that regard, that he didn't hit me over the head or things like that. He was just my pal. And I think it's because he sang and I wanted to sing. And so I just did what he did. So he had no reason to, to have any anxiety about me, because it was like having a son who did the same thing that you did, and that's what That's what happened. I just did what my dad did, and he was a wonderful person. He was very, very homebodied, 7 kids, and he went to work, came home in time, cooked, then sang, and that was it.
Wow, that was a great childhood you had there, and then you went. Then you went for the Olympics too.
Yeah, I was lucky. In school, I had growing up in San Francisco, I had so many opportunities to exercise and to participate in athletics in so many different ways. And one of my best pals in the world, and still is the great Bill Russell. I think Bill just passed away recently.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was with him not 2 weeks ago. We were talking and reminiscing about how we grew up together and how at one point when I started the high jump and Bill used to come and watch me sing at certain places, and we would exercise together. And I said, you could be the world's greatest high jumper, and I'll teach you how. And I did. I taught him how to high jump, and his coach Phil Woolpert, his basketball coach, almost had me killed because he says he's the greatest basketball player in the world. You're going to high jump him, and he's going to break his leg falling. And
Thank God. Thank God that didn't happen. We're going to be wrapping up soon, Johnny. I want to ask you a couple of things. Any more recordings in down the road? In looking at any other projects going on in the future?
I think about that occasionally because it's been years since I've recorded, and I think about remembering what happened. And I had certain people at the record company who liked my singing, and they were the ones who recorded me. And then I thought, my goodness, I haven't made a recording in 10 years, I don't think, maybe even more. And it was all because of people like George Avakian and Mitch Miller and these people who I worked with. But I met them at an early point in my life, and we became pals, and they liked my singing, and I recorded with them. But that, as life goes on, things change.
Right.
And I don't have those people around me anymore, so I haven't really recorded anything in years, yeah.
Except for
but
the
I
last
still
album.
sing. I still, I have my routine that I go through during the year, and I sing all over the world, actually. I lived in Spain, I lived in France, I lived in Germany, I lived in England, and I still travel a lot, but not singing-wise anymore, but I play a lot of golf.
I was just going to say that. You're still active with the golf, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, great form of exercise as well, and it takes a lot of technique and thoughtfulness on playing the game of golf.
Yeah.
So, tennis, you used to play tennis, right?
Well, I had friends. My best buddy was Tony Trabert.
Okay.
Remember that name?
Yes.
Tony Trabert? He was a great tennis player.
Tennis player, yeah.
Yeah. And he was a big buddy of mine. And I used to go out and hit the ball with him once in a while. But life goes on, a little change here and there, what have you.
It's called, you have to adapt. That's it. You don't want to, but we have to, But you sound great, and I'm looking forward to seeing you and hearing you at the NYCB Theatre, Westbury. I used to call it the Westbury Music Fair. You've been there so many years, so many times. That theater in the round, you like the smaller venues with the acoustics?
You get accustomed, and you have your little likes and dislikes along the way, and you learn how to do it in those situations. And because you have to life is full of little surprises, but I'm comfortable mostly because I've learned that you don't have to do it all the same way all the time. You can relax a little bit in certain situations according to what your availabilities are in that venue, and you can involve and bring the audience into your little situation and let them know emotionally, physically, how you approach your performance in that venue. Yeah.
Johnny Mathis will be appearing next Saturday at the NYCB Theatre in Westbury, Saturday, August 20th.